When's the last time you played a Pokemon game? Do you barely remember the scene you're seeing on the screen, or did you buy the most recent Pokemon Arceus? Whether you're nostalgic or a hardcore fan, Pokemon games are for everyone, even little babies. Because they're so accessible, Nintendo's never made a notably difficult Pokemon game. What if I told you there's a whole rule set dedicated to making these lovable creatures the most cold-blooded killers you'll ever face? I'm B-Unique, and today I'll be showing you my hardcore permadeath playthrough of Pokemon Emerald. If you know what a hardcore Nuzlocke is, feel free to skip to the start of the video. If you don't know what a Nuzlocke is, congrats, you probably love yourself. A Nuzlocke is a style of playing Pokemon games for masochistic people like yours truly to add a layer of difficulty to what are otherwise a series of pretty easy games. While there's a ton of different types of Nuzlockes, here are the core rules that almost all of them follow. Number 1, if a Pokemon faints, it dies and can't be used again. Number 2, you can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter on every route. This adds a wide degree of variability in a Nuzlocke compared to a traditional playthrough, as you may be expected to use Pokemon you may have never considered using before. Number 3, you must nickname every Pokemon you catch so that you have something special to call it as you mourn their inevitable death. Sounds fun, right? While this can make things more difficult, it's still too easy for me, so I've added a hardcore rule set which are as follows. Number 4, you have to play on set mode, meaning no free switch after you defeat a trainer's Pokemon. Number 5, no items in battle, this includes any kind of potions or X items. And number 6, you cannot overlevel past the next gym leader's ace Pokemon. Now you know the rules and so do I. Let's get into the Nuzlocke. Like every heroic start to a journey, I wake up in the back of a moving truck and get thrown out like a UPS package. Before I get the chance to call child services, our loving mom greets us so that I can set the time and greet the girl next door. While this is one of the strangest starts to a Pokemon game, I started to realize that the whole series revolves itself around sending 10-year-olds on solo expeditions to fight terrorists and conquer God. So, not too out of pocket. After doing all of our chores, we set out and see a grown man being mauled by a level 2 Zigzagoon. Starter choice is huge in a Pokemon game because it often determines the core of your playthrough and how you choose to structure your team. While I love Trico and Torchic, they don't particularly excel in Hoenn, which is fine because that leaves us with Mudkip, who is by far the best Pokemon to choose for any hardcore run of Pokemon Emerald. After saving the first of many sorry adults in the game, I name my first partner Huggy Hippo and the journey begins. We make our way up to fight our rival who decided to save 15% or more on car insurance. For the interest of time, I'm actually going to be skipping a lot of the major story fights as well as some non-essential encounters. For some of our first few teammates, I get Naga the Poochyena on Route 101, Gulliver the Winkle on Route 103, and then finally Origitas the Wurmple on Route 102. Along the way, my Wurmple actually evolves. While I was hoping for a Cascoon to get a Dustox which is much more useful than its counterpart, I end up with a Silcoon. Oh well. In Petalburg Woods, I got Stewie the Shroomish, one of my favorite Pokemon. Shroomish is awesome. It evolves into Breloom, which is one of the few Pokemon in the game which can reliably use a TM Bulk Up, a fantastic setup move that'll help me immensely as the game goes on. It's also so cute. With this addition to my team, I was really excited for my early encounters and the prospects we have in the Nuzlocke. After sorting out a scuffle between a terrorist and an office worker like the 10-year-old that I am, I make my way up to Rustboro City where I come across a pair of toddlers eager to battle. These trainers are unavoidable to teach players about a new mechanic in Gen 3, double battles. As such, they're incredibly easy. Lotad just goes down to 2 tackles, and C-Dot uses Bite, which stores damage over time. I decide to go for the kill here instead of waiting out the bites, but Tackle actually has a 5% chance to miss. This means that C-Dot gets a full force bite on Stewie, leading to the first death of the run. I'm sorry Stewie, you were here for a short time brimming with potential, but died for Huggy's mistakes. You will not be forgotten. After sending Stewie to Mushroom Heaven, we have our first gym fight against the Rock-type gym leader Roxanne. Like any Rock-type gym leader, if you have a half-decent water or grass-type Pokemon, this should be a breeze. Huggy hoses down the 2 Geodudes with a water gun, leaving just Nosepass left. Her Nosepass hits a hard-hitting Rock Tomb that lowers my speed, and then blocks me from being able to switch out. I hit a water gun which brings it back to Citrus Berry range, but then after another water gun it heals, so I just need to keep hosing it down as Roxanne spams it with some potions. This takes a while, and I'm definitely at risk to a crit, but an Oran Berry means that I'm pretty safe knocking out the Nosepass and getting my first gym badge. After that, Huggy evolves into a Marshtomp gaining its ground typing, and Silcoon evolves into Beautiful Beautifly sprouting its beautiful wings. On the way back to Doofertown, I run into a Shroomish and give it a quick salute as a respect to a fallen friend. Finally, I reach Granite Cave where I find an Aeron which you can clearly see I'm really excited about, and then name it Aaron. What else would I have named it? Next up on the chopping block is Brawley, the fighting type gym leader. Brawley used to be really scary when I was a kid, and I used to wipe to his Makuhita a ton of times. But with a Wormball evolution in my pocket, this is really easy. Both Beautifly and Dustox have a 4x resistance into Brawley's fighting type attacks, as well as having super effective moves like Gust and Confusion. After healing up with the Super Potion, Brawley takes 2 Gusts to the face, tries to hit me with a small seismic toss, and then gets blown away by a final Gust. Next up is Meditide, who isn't a big deal. Gust takes away 80% of his HP as it goes for bulk up. Tries to go for Focus Punch, but another Gust wipes it out, leaving only Makuhita. I hit a hard Gust that does about 50% of his HP as it goes for bulk up. Because Physical Special Split means that all flying type attacks are physical, this does take a bit of a while as it sets up more boosts, but after a few more Gusts, it should be able to knock it out, winning me my second gym badge. Now after the battle, we have a few encounters. First, I fish up a Tentacool named Ujingo in Dufer Town. Then I go back to Petalburg City and then fish up a Magikarp and name it Captain Capes. Magikarp is consistently one of the best encounters you can find in any Pokemon game, as Gyarados has insane stats, incredibly defensive typing in water flying, and has access to the best Nuzlocke ability, Intimidate, which lowers the attack of a Pokemon by 1 stage. After Magikarp evolves, we catch an Oddish on Route 110 and name it Boneless. On a side note, doesn't this look like an evolved Oranberry? Just me? Then after some training, we evolve our Boneless into a Gloom and then prepare for Watson. As one of the 3 ground types you get before the game, I knew that Huggy would be able to sweep through the entire gym. The only concern was that this Voltorb would use self-destruct no, just kidding, it uses rollout and goes down to a Mudshot. Guess that's that. Electric then comes out and I miss a Mudshot as it just goes for a Howl, but then another Mudshot is enough to take it down. Now third up is Magneton, and while normally a great Pokemon in a Nuzlocke, its Steel and Electric typing doesn't do it any favors into a Mudshot as it too goes down in 1 shot. Last is Magnetric, but it's the first verse better than the first. I shoot 2 chunks of wet dirt as it eats its dinner to earn my 3rd gym badge. While the gyms have felt easy so far, things do get a bit more difficult here. Now the only notable encounter that I got was in Fairy Path, where I found a Torkoal and named it Mr. Beana-isms. Haven't used a Torkoal so far, so pretty excited. Speaking of Torkoal, next up is Flannery. Now, Flannery isn't a run killer by any means, but she can be pretty tough, especially her Torkoal in the back. If it gets lucky with a few Body Slam paralysis or overheat crits, I can definitely see myself losing a few teammates. Her first 3 Pokemon though are a joke. One goes down to a Water Gun, one goes down to a Mudshot, and then her camera up comes out, sets in global warming, and then goes down to 1 each. Now, this leaves her last boss Pokemon, her Torkoal. Because the sun is up, I don't want to risk any strong overheats, so I would switch over to Mr. Beana-isms to take any potential hits. Her Torkoal goes for a Body Slam, and thankfully I come prepared and I bring a Cherry Berry. Then, we do as 2 turtles often do in the Blazing Sun. We exercise with some sumo wrestling, chipping away at each other's health with Body Slams. I try to protect stall some of her Body Slam usages, but I'm afraid of dying to a sun-boosted overheat. I choose to switch to Captain Keeps to tank the hit. I say tank, but that did a lot of damage, and I was almost at risk to a crit. Thankfully, that doesn't happen, and I choose to stay in because not many of my other mons can stomach a potential overheat. I then get paralyzed and realize I forgot to equip a Cherry Berry to my Captain Keeps as well, so I have to switch out here. Thankfully, she just heals up with the Hyper Potion as I send in Huggy. Huggy goes for a Mudshot, doing a 1/3 of the damage, but then Torkoal uses Attract, finding love in this blazing battlefield. Not wanting to deal with attraction shenanigans, I do what's called a pro gamer move and choose to switch in a Gloom on what I predicted to be a Body Slam or a Sunny Day. Thankfully, I hit the 75% accuracy Sleep Powder and my gamble pays off. This gives me a free switch back into Huggy Hippo as Torkoal just sleeps on the first turn. I'm able to fire off a Mudshot that does a 1/3 of Torkoal's health, but then she wakes up and then uses Attract again. Seeing as I have full HP on Huggy, I wanted to risk some of these turns, but unfortunately, love is too powerful a force, as I'm unable to break out of Infatuation twice. This leads to me needing to switch out into AA Ron to tank another Body Slam, and then pivot into another Pokemon to be able to tank the overheat. In this case, Mr. Beana-ism takes just enough, so I live with the Sliver. With their special attack drop, I can finally switch back into Huggy and finish off her Torkoal. While I was dead to a few crits, we were able to earn our 4th gym badge without any casualties using the power of friendship. Now, the level cap doesn't raise much here, but it's not much of an issue as Norman can be really easy with the right setup. With minimal planning, we start the battle with our absent father figure. He leads off with Spinda as I lead off with Captain Keeps. Strength chunks down the Spinda to a Sliver as it goes for a Teeter Dance. Not wanting to deal with confusion, I switch out to AA Run to tank a potential Facade, but it just goes for another Teeter Dance. No worries though, Captain Keeps comes out, tanks a Side Beam, and then is able to knock out the Spinda with the Strength. Next up is Vigoroth, whose critical hit slashes can hit pretty hard. I want to preserve as much HP on Captain Keeps as possible, so I switch to AA Run. He tanks both the Slash and then the Feint Attack as he goes for a Metal Claw. You go, little guy. With that done, I switch out to Captain Keep's Intimidate Vigoroth's attack down and take a feint attack. One more strength is enough to knock it out as it leaves me with half HP. Third is Lanoon, who has access to the crazy move Belly Drum that maxes out its attack, but without the right setup, it goes down. Last, and certainly very least, is Norman Slacking. Because of its Truant ability, if you have any Pokemon with Protect, it's very easy to cheese this fight. Skipping some bulk up and Protect shenanigans, I knock out the Slacking and get the 5th gym badge. That was an easy fight, but I wouldn't expect anything less from a father figure who threw me to the back of a moving van. Thanks, Dad. On the way to the 6th gym, I help another sorry adult, this time shutting down the city's generator, and then catch Square the Voltorb. Electric types are phenomenal in this game since it's mostly water, so it goes in the team. At Route 118, I catch a Lanoon of my own and name it Hershey's. Guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Then I casually save the Weather Institute from an act of eco-terrorism, and then I'm gifted a cat form that I name Thanos. After beating our rival, I wake my way up to Fortree City and then catch Kirito the Absol on Route 120. Finally, I evolve both Square into an Electrode and then Aaron into a Aaron. With all that preparation, I'm ready for Winona. The 6th gym can be pretty scary, but I came a little prepared for this one. She sends out Swablu as I send out Square. A Thunderbolt is enough to take out Mr. Blue Sky as it goes down. Next up is Mama Blue Sky. Fearing the Earthquake, I switch out to Captain Keeps for the Intimidate drop as she just goes for Dragon Dance. In my prep, I actually forgot Altaria gets Dragon Breath, so Captain Keeps stays paralyzed here. Mama Blue Sky, please tell us why. After one turn of paralysis, I'm able to break through and finally fire off an Ice Beam to take down the Altaria. She sends out her overgrown Banana Tree and it tries to take in some sunlight. I fire off an Ice Beam that brings Tropius down to just a sliver. Not wanting to risk a critical hit Solar Beam, I switch out to Mr. Beanism to take the hit. I expect Winona to heal here, so I go for a Flamethrower to finally finish off the Tropius, but it's another sliver. That's okay though, because one last Flamethrower seals the deal. Our next Pokemon is Peliper. The AI always favors the use of Protect, so this is a pretty safe switch to Square. I Thunderbolt the overgrown Wingull, and it goes down. Last up is her Skarmory, but it's the same story. I use a Thunderbolt and knock it out. This finally earns us our 6th gym badge. I make my way up to Mount Pyre to find an essential encounter here that'll help me with the next gym, which is a Duskull that I name 07. Then, after some training, I evolve 07 into a Dusclops and then Huggy into a Swampert. Now, for anyone who played Emerald, you know that Tate and Liza are terrifying. As Nuzlocke opponents, they can be some of the worst run killers you run into that aren't League champions. Double battles are pretty scary as you have to predict both enemy AI and you have to manage both of your Pokemon and make sure they don't die. Xatu here goes for a Calm Mind as Captain Keeps goes for a Surf, damaging both Claydol and Xatu for a little bit of damage. Claydol does an Earthquake, but it does little damage because of Keeps' Intimidate, and then 07 fires off a Shadow Ball to leave Claydol in the red. Predicting the heal here, I switch targets onto the Xatu and have Captain Keeps and 07 double up, knocking it out. I don't really want to mess around with Calm Mind boosts as they can be pretty scary as time goes on, so better to get that out of the way. Lunatone comes out here and its only move is Psychic. Fearing it killing Captain Keeps with Psychic, I switch to Kirito who's immune to Psychic attacks. Unfortunately, Lunatone instead goes for a Calm Mind. 07 hits another hard Shadow Ball onto Claydol, and I switch back out to Captain Keeps, fearing that Lunatone and Claydol might be able to knock out 07. Fortunately, the AI doesn't seem to combine the damage that it would do together, so instead Lunatone goes for another Calm Mind. Taking this opportunity, I knock out Claydol with a final Shadow Ball, leaving Tate and Liza with their menacing floating rock collection. Citrus Berry heal on 07 means that I'm out of Psychic range, so predicting the kill on Captain Keeps, I switch to Huggy in order to take a hit. Soul Rock goes for Sunny Day and Lunatone hits a really hard Psychic. 07 does the same amount of damage in return, and then Lunatone heals up with the Citrus Berry. Predicting the AI to use Psychic and Solar Beam on Huggy, I go back out into Kirito to tank both hits. Thankfully they don't crit me, as I'm able to knock out Lunatone with a Shadow Ball, leaving just Soul Rock. There are some switches just to make sure I don't lose more Pokemon, but once it's a 2v1, the game is pretty much over. With this, I feel like I redeemed my mistake in my very first double battle of the run. Ironically, I was able to beat the 2 Psychic-type trainers by reading to their minds, and it's enough to scrape me my 7th gym badge. Now, while I've been skipping most of the story, I wanted to keep this in just to show how dumb the Emerald game can be. First of all, the game is already 78% water, and yet Archie wants to use the red orb on the blue cover art legendary Pokemon to flood the world, and then gets upset when it starts raining really hard. Isn't this exactly what he wanted as the water-type terrace leader? Come on, Nintendo. Anyways, on the way to Sky Pillar to unlock Rayquaza, I find Claydol and I really want to catch it because it's an amazing encounter, so I switch over to 07 in order to catch it, and then it just explodes, oh my god. Well, that's, good thing I switched. Now, naturally after saving the world from imminent doom, we go back to what's really important in our lives. Our gym badges. Juan is the final one on the list, and he's no slouch. Like Winona and Flannery, he can be a huge run killer with his Kingdra if he sets up properly. First, he sends out a Love Disc, which easily goes down to one of Square's Thunderbolts. Next comes out Whiscash, so I want to switch out to Keeps in order to offset Earthquake damage, but instead he goes for Amnesia. I get to hit a hard Strength here, doing a third of its HP, as he goes for another Amnesia. Strength leaves it in the red as it goes for a Rain Dance, boosting all water type attacks. This can be pretty scary as Juan has some of the stronger water types in the game, so I want to finish this out as soon as possible. Another Strength puts Whiscash into the red as a Water Pulse confuses my Captain Keeps. Not wanting to deal with any confusion shenanigans, I switch out to Boneless, who takes a Water Pulse pretty easily. It takes a little bit of more damage here with an Earthquake, which isn't great because I can't heal that much of a Giga Drain, so I definitely want to be careful using Boneless in the future of the fight. Next comes out Celio, and its Ice typing doesn't do any favors to Boneless, so I want to switch out to Square, who easily takes it and doesn't get frozen. Another Thunderbolt is easy to Celio out the deal. Next up is Crawdon, but despite its menacing sharp features, they're no match for Squares, as it too goes down to a Thunderbolt, leaving Juan with his final Pokemon. This Kingdra is pretty well known for using Double Team to spam evasiveness, so I do as much damage as I can with a Thunderbolt and then Shockwave, which has 100% accuracy. Unfortunately, this isn't enough to bring it into another Shockwave kill, so I miss a Thunderbolt and then it rests, healing all of the HP back. After this, it's a bit of rinse and repeat as Kingdra spams Double Team and rest as I try to whittle it down with Shockwaves. Once I start running low on Shockwave PP, I remember that 07 has the move Curse, which never misses. I sack half my HP to say a few bad words to lower Kingdra's self-esteem, and cause it to lose a quarter of its health per turn. After Kingdra wakes up, we exchange blows, but it's all over. Skipping a few turns, Kingdra finally goes down and Juan gets washed away. This could have been a lot simpler had I remembered that Curse was a viable option, but who cares? That's the 8th gym badge. Now, with only Victory Road standing in between me and the Elite Four, I was feeling really good. I make my way to the end where I run into a double battle against a Gardevoir and Slaking. I hadn't healed the majority of my time in Victory Road, so I actually didn't have PP on my stronger moves like Earthquake and Surf. Gardevoir took away Slaking's Tron ability with Skill Swap, and then it goes for Thunderbolt on Captain Keeps. Not what I was expecting. I knock out Gardevoir here, which is a pretty terrible move in hindsight considering it was the holder of the Tron ability, and then the horror really begins. Considering their first Slaking used Thunderbolt, I had no idea what their other moves were, and I couldn't retaliate with any strong moves of my own. The crit parry here really mattered on Torkoal, so I switched out, but Square gets knocked out by an Earthquake. It's the second death of the run. Square was the core of my plan against the champion Wallace, who also has Water-type Pokemon, so that really hurt. I sent out Captain Keeps to intimidate the Slakings just in case they hit a strong physical move, but I knew he was going down too. This one was really heartbreaking, because Keeps has been there almost since the beginning. As a powerhouse, he left a huge hole in the team. I try to mitigate as much damage with Boneless as possible, but it gets hit with a critical hit Ice Beam, leaving it in the red. To top it off, Sleep Powder misses. This means more sacks. Kirito goes down after his beautiful debut against Tate and Liza, and then Mr. Beanism slowly goes down after to another Thunderbolt. Last is the opponent's Dusclops, who isn't much of a threat, but it's too late. The damage has been done. We came all this way, but I guess it's at the height of man when they experience their truest folly. What's worse is that this battle is actually completely optional. I could have faced them one-on-one, or skipped them on the right side altogether. I could have healed my team up just in case and gave them respect they deserved. Left with what-ifs and heavy footsteps, I make my way to the league. Now, with so many core members down, I sadly looked at the box to see what could be done to tackle the Elite Four. While I was able to keep Boneless alive, Wallace's water types are incredibly strong to the Pokemon I have in my box. I looked up any encounters I missed and found the bleak light in the ocean, Chinchow. Chinchow was a water electric type Pokemon that could be surprisingly bulky and potentially fill the whole Square left behind. While the team wouldn't be perfect, it would be the only answer we had to the sea creatures waiting at the top. I had two chances to get Chinchow, once in Route 126 and another in Route 124. In those routes, Chinchow has a 30% encounter rate, while Clamperl has a 65% encounter rate and Relicanth has a 5% encounter rate. I decided to go to Route 126 first and find a Clamperl. This isn't a big deal since it was expected, and with Species Clause, which basically means I could reroll till I find a unique encounter, I had a decent chance at finding my Chinchow. So as long as I can reroll the Clamperl encounter in Route 124, I can wage a solid chance at getting a Chinchow. You. Not only did I not get the Chinchow in Route 126, I got the 5% encounter to get a Relicanth, which would not nearly be as useful for the final champion fight. With a heavy heart, I flung my Master Ball at my final encounter and headed back to the Pokemon League. After some preparation, here's the final team. Huggy Hippo the Swampert, Boneless the Vileplume, 07 the Dusclops, Ojingo the Tentacruel, Aaron the Aggron, and Hershey's the Lanoon, all at the level cap of 55, the level of Drake Salamence. With a deep breath, we push to do what our friends couldn't, and I head into the Elite Four. First up is Sydney, the Dark-type specialist. As far as challenges go, he's incredibly easy. Dark-type is determined by special attack due to the physical special split for whatever reason, and most of his Pokemon are physical attackers. I connect 3 Surfs using Huggy and his Mightyena goes down. Next is Cacturne, and fearing a 4 times effective Grass move, I switch to Boneless, only to get hit with the Cotton Spore which lowers my speed. After a weak Feint attack, it goes down to a single Sludge Bomb. Cacturne's design is really neat, but it never was really the best Pokemon. Next comes Sydney's Shiftry, and I'm worried about it using Extra Sensory and Vileplume, but it uses Swagger as I switch out. I swap out to Huggy and then back, but upon another Swagger, I just risk the confusion as Aggron cleanly knocks out Pinocchio. After that is Crawdon, but it goes down to 2 Soft Sand boosted Earthquakes and a Surf while it sets up a Swords Dance. Lastly, I take down Absol and beat the first of the Elite Four. Next is Phoebe, whose Ghost Pokemon can be pretty annoying. Her Dusclops will always use Protect turn 1, so setup is incredibly useful. Fortunately, I don't have anything like that, so I fire off a Shadow Ball and Shadow Punch while taking 1 in return to knock out her Dusclops. Next up is Baynet, and I'm afraid she's faster than me, so I switch to Hershey's to tank a Shadow Ball or Will-O-Wisp. Because Hershey's is a burnt normal type, I take this time to switch it to Huggy, as Baynet is pretty guaranteed to Feint attack here. 1 Earthquake is enough to knock it down. Sableye next, but it's not a big deal to Huggy's massive bulk. Earthquake is barely enough to squeak by the kill as it sets up a double team. How Huggy proceeds to miss 2 literal tidal waves into a little Muppet eludes me, but he makes up for it with the 3rd critical Surf. Her second Baynet comes out, but it's an easy Earthquake one-shot. Last is Phoebe's second Dusclops, who can be pretty scary because of its sheer bulk, but it struggles to outdamage my Surfs. The second Surf puts Dusclops at over half HP with Citrus Berry healing, but I know a Soft Sand boosted Earthquake is enough to put this final Ghost to rest. With that, that's 2 Elite Four members down. Next is Galatia. Before I hop into the fight, I actually want to explain the strategy. While her Ice-type Pokemon aren't a big deal for Aaron, her Walrein can be a beast, tanking almost every hit and retaliating with hard-hitting Ice Beams and Surfs. I needed a real plan to prevent any members from dying. Some of my eagle-eyed viewers must have noticed I chose to bring a Lanoon on the team instead of my other box members. While you may think that an encounter you find in the beginning of the game can't possibly be good, you may remember me talking about a move called Belly Drum in my fight against Norman. It's a move that multiplies your attack by 4 times in exchange for half your health. While normally an incredibly risky move, it's broken with the perfect setup. I step into the battle against Galatia, and she sends out her Celio as I send out Hershey's. Her Celio always goes for Hail turn 1, which makes it the perfect time to use Belly Drum. After that with the Citrus Berry, I'm no longer in danger due to residual hail damage and the battle is pretty much over. A +6 return knocks out her Celio, her Glalie, her second Celio, her second Glalie, and finally her Walrein, all in one shot. That's the 3rd member of the Elite Four down. Last of the Elite Four is Drake. As the final member of the Elite Four, I came up with an incredibly intricate strategy. It might be better for you to just watch. Whoa, what a banger. Well, with that, only the champion is left. Finally, we're at Wallace's doorstep. A Hershey's sweep here isn't straightforward since there's no guaranteed turn to set up Belly Drum. To succeed, I need to stall Wailord out of all its attack moves, and Rain cannot be up, since Wallace's Ludicolo has the Swiss Swim ability, which makes it move twice as fast in the Rain. If Rain is up, I need to substitute into his Ludicolo, which isn't easy after the Belly Drum damage, and I don't have another Citrus Berry. However, we worked really hard to get here, and for all our fallen friends, we needed to win this one last time. The match starts as Wallace leads Wailord and I lead Dusclops, whose ability Pressure causes Wailord to lose 2 usages of its move for the price of 1. I go for Shadow Ball as he just goes for a Rain Dance in turn 1. On the next turn, Wailord then uses a Blizzard and freezes me. It's not the worst, since 07's ability is still active, but certainly not ideal. With the rain boosted water spout, Wailord knocks out 07. Rest well, you did your best. Next, I send out Ojingo, and as a water type, Ojingo baits out Double Edge. I use a few protects to stall out Double Edge BP. I then pivot to AA Ron to tank the Double Edge and bait a water spout, for which I can subsequently go back out to Ojingo to tank. Now we set up the AI to pivot waste its PP against my Aggron and Tentacruel, so I'll skip a few turns. Once I'm certain Wailord used all 5 water spouts, blizzards, and almost 10 double edges, I sack Tentacruel on Wailord's last double edge for a clean switch into Lanoon. Wailord should now only have one use of Rain Dance, so I use Substitute to protect myself against the Ludicolo, as Wailord uses his last Rain Dance. I then set up Belly Drum for the sweep, and then it uses Double Edge. I had written down that Double Edge was used 10 times, so I was incredibly confused until I remembered. Double Edge has 15 uses, not 10. This was really bad, and I was already set up with Belly Drum. Lanoon had no HP to set up another. I tried to go for a sub, hoping to stall out the rain, but it left me 25% HP, the amount it costs to use a substitute. Another substitute would fail, and I wouldn't have stalled out the rain. Ludicolo would finish me off with its Swift Swim ability. Except that's when I noticed. Hershey's HP is an odd number. If Substitute takes 25%, and Belly Drum takes 50%, it's completely possible that I'd be left with about 1% HP, as odd numbers aren't divisible by 2. However, if the percent cost of sub or Belly Drum is rounded up, I'm totally screwed. While I could definitely kill as many Pokemon as possible, I decided to risk the turn using Substitute. Holding my breath, I made my move. Two HP. Hershey lives on 2 HP from the rounded down Belly Drum and sub turns, and with the Silk Scarf boosted return, Hershey takes down his first victim. Crucially now, Wallace chooses to send out his Tentacruel instead of his Ludicolo. It too goes down as I take it out with a return, and the rain still pours. Now finally, Wallace sends out his Ludicolo, but its luck runs out as the rain stops. With Hershey's final sub, I've stalled out the most crucial rain turn to ever exist, and I'm free to take down the big Pineapple Duck. Next, Wallace's Wish Cache comes out, but it's no match for our max boosted return. Wallace's Gyarados comes out next, but it's no Captain Keeves as it gets one-shot by another return. Wallace's Ace Pokemon is a Milotic that goes down to Hershey's final return. And with that, the champion's defeated. That was a really intense battle, and I made a lot of mistakes, but thankfully saved by a little bit of niche information and a lot of luck. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you had as much fun as I did learning how different Pokemon can be optimized under Nuzlocke rules. This is my first Nuzlocke video, so let me know what you thought and what your favorite moment from the Nuzlocke was in the comment section below. Also, consider subscribing if you want more videos like this, and try to join my stream at twitch.tv/BeUnique if you want to catch a Nuzlocke live. Who knows, maybe you'll be the next Hershey's to sweep the Elite Four. Well, that's all for now, but until the next video, be happy.